teachers. I hope this weekend was amazing for you. I'm just going to send out each week until we start meeting one-on-one virtually, just a quick little introduction via this kind of video. So I hope this week has gone well for you. It was great being able to read all your introductions. And so we are starting week number 2. And this week, we would normally be meeting virtually and being able to interact with each other. So since we're not, I did things a little bit differently, but hopefully you can still find it engaging. So I'm going to go ahead and toggle over to, I'm in our Canvas course and I'm looking at week 2. We're looking at your profession. And it may seem like we're kind of hitting this again, but I think it's important, just like you might talk to your students about ethics or talking to your students about, their industry profession. We need to anchor everything on this idea of being a professional teacher because that's who you are now, right? That's what your job is. So this week you are looking at professionalism, work ethics, but also thinking about this idea of who your stakeholders are. You'll get more into that next week, but I want to kind of tee that up. It is also, before you get started, it's also a good idea as you're teaching to engage with your students so they understand how they think and feel about the topic that they're about to embrace on. So that's what the assignment is getting us to do. So let's walk through the module really quickly. There is a presentation on issues. And again, this would be normally something we would do together, but I have built it in that you can toggle through this. Please make sure you're watching the videos and reading the comments and the materials in there. It's not a hard week by any stretch of the imagination. The driving question is, what do I need to know and do to be an amazing professional educator whose strong model helps to create future professionals? All right, so that's what we're looking at. And then we toggle into professionalism and work ethics and a code, your code of conduct. So I'm going to slide through there. Code of ethics is there. And then I end it with some very sobering facts. Man, every day, right? Like we are just, it's like something else on the news or on socials about teachers not being the model that they should be and really violating trust between our profession and the families that we serve. And so this was some data that I found, and it's just really sobering. So that we have an amazing privilege and responsibility in our profession. And I want us to always remember that, that we are professional teachers, and that is a high calling. So you're going to read through that material, you're going to interact with that material in that presentation, and then you're going to interact with your peers. I'm in the grad section. We will do this quite often when we're doing our virtual meetings, is we'll use virtual, we will do interactive docs. It's just a way for everybody to participate in a virtual environment, because that's kind of tough when you're in the classroom with me. It's really quite easy, right? I can see and you see your faces and I can interact with you that way. Online is just more challenging. So you're going to find your number. And so Abe Adams, you own the #1 spot all summer. If you're not in here, I built this list kind of like the day before class started. So there was some people who had to rejoin and things like that. No worries. Just add your number. Okay. If you were an undergrad looking at this, you're like, whose are these names? Well, you haven't your own separate doc undergrads. Okay. So this just happens to be the one I had up for grads. You're gonna interact with this doc, find your number. So Rascal Flat 17, that's Jen. All right, awesome song. And then 16 is Matt. I like that as well. What your end of year anthems are. But see, that's like, we can kind of get to know each other a little bit better just through some of these questions. There is a little Padlet there. If you're not familiar with Padlet, it's a great little tool that you can use in your classroom. I'm going to do that all summer long. I'm going to try to pull in different different resources for you. But essentially, after you go through that presentation, then you're going to interact with us this way. Then the last thing you have is assignment number 2. So I'm going to go to assignments and I'm going to go to not discussions. That's done. Assignment number 2, reflections of the school year. And I'm going to open this doc up. And then I'm going to go file, make a copy. All right. And that means that's your copy. And so, if I'm Matt Patrone, I would make a copy and name it Matt Patrone _ assignment 2. And the goal of this assignment is I'm asking you to pause and reflect on the previous school year. Because it's important for us to understand where we are before we can move forward. So step 1, you're going to break down the courses, list highs and lows for each course. Highs are defined as the good things that happen. Lows are those that we wish we didn't happen. And all of us have highs and lows. Nobody can say they don't have any lows. That's just not, either you weren't teaching or you're just not really reflecting. Do not include any student identifiable information in this assignment. So don't tell me Melanie Kieran, right? Like as student name, like that. Don't do that. You can reference any student, just that's fine. Be sure to list out as many highs and lows as possible. So I've given you 4 little spots here. If you want more, all you do is in this last column, hit the tab. Okay, tab. Next, then I want you to break that down. So consider the why, and all the stakeholders that potentially were involved. Again, I'm queuing you up for next week a little bit here. So NCT, our stakeholders can be teachers, us, colleagues, students, families, advisory committee members, and admin, support, anything. Choose 2 of your highs and break them down into meaningful analysis. So make sure there's at least 2, right? If you want more, God bless you, do it. Again, hit tab, add another record. This is for your learning, right? So everything I'm going to do is for your learning. So make it meaningful. Step 3 is looking at the lows, choose 2 and reflect. And then we want to consider how you're going to move forward based on these things. What initiatives could you take to increase your high impact and decrease the occurrence of the low moment? Oftentimes we as teachers feel like we're at the mercy of others, teachers, students, admin, whatever, families, rules and bureaucracy. We are some extent, but we as career tech ed teachers kind of know better, right? Like there's a process that we can take. We can take ownership of what happens in our classroom. So I want you to take some ownership. What could you do? And then last, in the step number 5, attitudes of gratitude. Keeps us thinking from the abyss. This is a daily thing that we have to do as teachers and grown-ups. So use this space below to write some ideas on what you're grateful for, right? And that's going to help us work through this class this summer. So I am super excited about learning more about your past school year through this. Now, if you're in a situation where you weren't in the classroom, you're subbing, talk to me. We'll figure out how to make some adjustments to this because I want everything that we do in class to be meaningful. Okay. My last comment of this week is assignment 5 was turned on. Now I've turned it off. It's just because I have close to 45 students, so I have to kind of rethink how I'm going to do assignment 5, which is your issues project. We're still going to do issues project. That's like your final exam for this course. But in terms of presentation, I need to retool that a little bit just from timing. So still be thinking, what's the big thing that you want to work on? That's not going to change. The requirements from that perspective is not going to change. It's just your delivery mechanism for class I may make some adjustments there. So anywho, that's it for this little brief kind of what's coming up this week. I hope you guys have an amazing week. My email, my cell is posted on the class, so feel free to reach out to me. Remember, it's always better to make contact earlier before there's an issue than afterwards. All right, teachers, have an amazing week. Reach out. Talk to you soon.